time for a drink, and you guys snap into work. My name is Chris Wise. I am proud to have my good friend up here today to launch his book, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this all came to be and why we did this, and so on. My company is called the Atomic Underground. What's remaining on my t-shirt is the logo. It's on the back of the book too, you can see that. It's a little plague doctor. And one of the reasons why I wanted to make this company was that we have an incredible amount of talent and awesome poets in town. And it seems like finding a good publisher or getting out there is, I was joking with him earlier and saying it's like a Yeti or a mirage, you know what I mean? You hear people have found it and they seem like they really got one, but we've never seen it, you know? And so I've had a lot of friends pass away that their work went kind of right in the trash, you know, when they died. A good friend of mine, many years ago, and meaning well people took their things and just kind of sat on them. And I thought, no, I have a lot of stuff. I don't have time to go chasing other people around to get it out there, so I just want to do it. And I want to get enough ISBNs so I can get my friends that I admire and that I want to work with out there. Winston was with me from the beginning on that conversation. And he and I were talking, and I thought, you know, I want a Winston Derden book. First time I met him was at a Barnes & Noble in Webster. I saw him read up there, and I admired him so much. I don't often do that, but I kind of chased him down. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, here you go.
Tackled me in the park.
It is. Like, tell me about that sonnet. No, and later on we began talking, and then we became drinking buddies, and then just philosophizing over everything buddies, and he was very patient with me while I figured out how to make and put out a book and all the things you're supposed to do, and I'm still learning. So, but we worked very hard together on it, and I hope that you like the product. Winston was invaluable. You know, he's very particular. So it's only right that he was my inaugural poet. You know? Winston's book, I thought the title was really good, but after Dom and after Winston got sick, it's like it's a little on the nose. So okay. Well, let me Winston come up and tell us a little bit about the book. Let's hear some of his work and he's the man himself. Thank you. Give your hand for Winston Derden, please.
I thought that I had forgotten my notes, but I give it to Chris. Dangerous living. So yeah, between the COVID break and spending 2023 playing leukemia, it's been quite a while since I was in front of an audience. And I want to thank everyone for coming on today. And I especially want to thank Chris for all the time and effort that went into the book and to the event. And I want to thank Dan Carrington here for critical assist. And and to Yolanda, who made this thing happen in a week. So I am especially grateful to you for getting this together. Just like Chris said, you know, I wrote Rest as Corpses with Poets, thinking that, you know, this is sort of a motivation to keep working till you drop. But my bone marrow seemed to take that as an imperative and drop me sooner. But anyway, I'm winning so far. So I'm going to read a selection of the poems, but I'm not going to read, I should say this, the book is poems in the front, and then in the back, there are my comments on the individual poems. Here we go. So, you'll have the poetry here, and then And then kind of what the poet meant to me, or a particular book meant to me, or some ideas for other reading. I tend to read what I call a package. So I'll read either poetry or a novel, and then I'll try to read a biography of the writer, and then also some critical work if I can find it. So I put that back in here. Some of the things that are out there are not all that worthy to read. So I tried to, warn you off the bad stuff and put more into the good stuff. So this is really, this is no work of scholarship. It's what I do, and I hope you like it. So this first poem is called Style Council, and it mentions Robert Hass. Robert Hass was a poet laureate in the late 90s here. And when he hung it up as poet laureate, he started writing columns. Started writing columns. Margot has this one on the shelf. It's called Now and Then. They were collected in his book. And man, that is one of the best books about poetry that I've ever read. So I definitely recommend Now and Then by Robert Hass. And so this one's called Style Council. My personality is out of style. My personality is in my poems. My poems don't appear in certain journals because my personality is out of style. Robert Hass said so. It's not about me personally. Robert Hass has no idea who I am, nor should he, since my poems don't appear in certain journals. Besides, he wrote that 20 years ago. I was out of fashion then too. But 20 years ago, I wasn't writing poetry. So I didn't find out about it until 20 years later. Thanks, Robert. That explains a lot. I'll keep expanding my understanding because even though I don't appear in certain journals, fashion feeds on itself. I could be back in style one day, 20 years from now. I should have told you the page number. If you want to read along, this was called Graceful. I couldn't come to grace and not read Graceful. So this is on page 34. It's about Grace Paley. She was a short story writer and also a poet. And I saw her speak at UH about a year and a half before she died. Grace Paley was a little Jewish granny from the Bronx. We had razor wire for her tongue. And if you didn't know that, it'd take you about 10 seconds to find out. So this is pretty much what happened at the reading that she gave over UH. I've taken to taking Grace Paley's advice at home and when I wandered. If you want to be a writer, she said, you must always carry a pen. She raised one high. And the piece of paper, which proved elusive as she searched through 5 or 6 pockets until she drew from her skirts a scrap and at arm's length examined. Well, that's a $20 bill, she said. But I guess you could write it in cards. This was called Deconstructed, and it was published in Blue Collar. I feel kind of guilty about submitting to Blue Collar anymore because I ain't that much of a working man anymore. So Deconstructed. Little nicks on my hands never healed. Insignificant accidents, a hammer, a saw, and a screwdriver, never amounting to much to themselves, but always scraping against seams when I run my hands in the pockets. Or brushing a doorknob I pass by, tearing open, red to the quick, dry, cracked, and peeling, easily re-wounded. And when combined with fatigue and the distracting ability of labor, words slip away unfinished on their way to the ends of my fingers. This one is called Sensational. It's about Billy Collins, who is also a U.S. Poet Laureate. And he's a very accessible poet. I like him a lot. I picked up some stuff from him about, you don't have to be Mr. Intellectual all the time. This is on page 17. I should have mentioned it. Page 17. Sensational. There's a line at the end about blood harmony. And blood harmony is a musical concept that says people who are related by blood are able to sing tighter and purer harmonies than people who are just singing off the sheet. And I heard that and I thought, Graham Nash and like David Crosby might have a word in there. But, anyway, that's when blood harmony comes up at the end, that's what it's about. Okay. So this is called Sensation. In Sunday Morning with the Sensational Nightingales, subtle irony, Billy Collins praises gospel group after gospel group. Soul Stirs, Swan Silvertones, Dixie Hummingbirds, 5 Mississippi Blind Boys, actually 5 blind boys in Mississippi. And I feel sensational because he's listening to gospel music on the radio in his car. And I have the music in my collection. Reverend James Cleveland, The Mighty Clouds of Joy, Edwin Hawkins Singers, Fairfield 4. I don't understand if he didn't care to distract from rising on the nightingale's wings of song, to debate the discord of doctrinal disjunctures between his leading religion and their evangelical brand. For in spite of my background in staid Baptist tones, I too can ascend on a gospel chorus. Conscious only of the sublime sweep of harmony, the blending of notes exceeding any sounds of nature, birds twittering relentless solos, the hiss and yowl of cats, the bark and growl of dogs, the bleatings and grunts of cattle and sheep, devoid of euphony, our knowledge of tonics and augmented tones. For despite the nightingale's sweet song which repeats, sensational nightingales alone sit harmony, which is why I revel in the human ear. The sonic subtleties of the human mind, not an aspiration to some higher thing displaced to imaginary divine, but the power of multiple voices combined to animate the transient glory of song. So Billy, when next Sunday rolls along, if you're cruising with the Harmony Jones, well, not necessarily hankering for salvation, stop in and I'll spin you some cute luck. Flamingos, orioles, ravens, crows, unless there's no harmony without heaven. Then we could wade into some bluegrass, awash in the blood harmonies of Bill and Charlie Monroe, the Stanley Brothers, Delmore Brothers, the Luthans, Del McCurry with his sons and their cousins. So this was a late ad for Dom. Whoa, too much. No, I'm trying that. Yeah, better. This is on page 55. It's called philosophy. So you've heard of philosophy, the love of knowledge. This is philosophy, the fear of knowledge. And it's a made-up word. And I remember years and years ago, we were doing a Words and Art event over at Rice Gallery. And I'd made up a word for that one too, and I explained to the audience that it was a made-up word, but I didn't really feel like I had to explain that to a room full of poets, but I didn't want to be misunderestimated. Well, I could hear Dom's laugh above everybody else's. Philosophy, page 55. You know too much when the profile of an ancient woman shoddily coiffed recalls a portrait of the Marquis de Sade, late career, possibly from Charenton internment, but likely before solitary confinement, scrawling polemics on the wall in his own excrement. Or when a poet friend reminds of Ezra Pound in profile and in posing, craggy and enigmatic, but more left-leaning than fashion, and never locked in an asylum, at least to my understanding. Or when green jello suggests absence, Rambo sailing a drunken boat, suggesting a ship of fools chasing a white whale, 20,000 wet peas under the sea, after an old man telling a fish tale too shaky to gel. Or a row of urinals with one gone missing draws a fountain of laughter with the graffito, Duchamp's. Though on matters of art, I must admit, I are a mutt. This is called Russian Lit, and it's kind of a doof. Its main claim to fame is that it's dumped Atlanta. So I felt it was in a shady sort of way. Russian Lit. Brushing up on Russian Lit, I Googled Gogol to ogle his oeuvre. Checked in on Chekhov, dusted off Dostoevsky, got Gorky. Told stories on Tolstoy. Had a snack on Pasternak, shared a table with Babel. Had a run-in with Moody. He said no to Yassine. Got sore with Sorokin. He tried to knock my block off. Soldier through Solzhenitsyn, led a push against Pushkin. Bulldog Bulgakov, wrote a knockoff of the bottom. My, oh my, Mayakovsky, different me. So not all these guys are poets, Mayakovsky was. Not good at reputation. Now what else? Okay. Page 13, Louder Than Death. Okay, so this is Louder Than Death, Reflections on the Posthumous Publication of Charles Bukowski's Portions of a Weinstein Notebook. I read the Weinstein Notebook, portions I'd seen before. Blustering and jabbing, the poet in its prime. A schoolyard tough, laying it down for your feet, tap dancing for their erudition, full of himself and none other. Bukowski versus verse, all assertion, no proof. The God denied, pontificating, as if poetry were his religion, which it was, but he denied that as well. Fickle in his anger and accommodation, full of life, full of shit, but full on right about this. Find form and get it into the line. This is called A Gift, page 32. I got a book of poetry from a friend of mine, Mary Oliver poems, and as I'm looking at it, it's a gift, and it's kind of a little dog here. Dear me. But I gave it a little more thought and came up with this. It's called A Gift. My gift of poems arrived pre-read. A book by Mary Oliver. Paper wrapper nicked a bit. Pages curled and unrecovered. Not a poem was missing though. Each page was bound in order. And as image, verse, and line and light, I began to wonder if luminescence shines more bright, having first lit the eyes of another. Okay, here we go. So this is a poem, an old poem. It begins with a reference to a poem by Chris Wise and ends with a couple of lines that I stole from Alexander Pope. It's on page 62, called Old Friends. She told him he would end alone, an old man with his books. He wrote that into a poem I read myself into with a grain of satisfaction. A forethought of acquiescence into the comfort of the familiar. or belated recognition of some fetching text, a new friend in old age to assuage an idle hour, or delay obligated camaraderie at some rest home convocation with remnants of people that spent a life avoiding. Not to say all clever folks appear in print, well, every writer's clever, though I found percentages few and often state, enticing me to abide with friends so often proved revolting, and a pure conviviality for a comfortable chair, and well-lit text, new or old, the feast of reason and the flow of soul. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pope. Okay, I'm going to finish up with this one right here. This is on page 50, Stealing in the Temple. This is a poem about getting to school. Ain't too proud to say it. I was at a reading up at Lone Star College by a guy named Winston, who was a professor at Texas Tech. And I went up there with, this is a hello relationship. A really good friend of mine. His father is a poet who knows William Winston. And so Donald Nace Williams, the guy's name, he's 95 and he just published a translation of Beowulf. In I Am Sketch Method. Yeah. Thanks, Don. Show us up, would you? So this is called Stealing in the Temple. After the reading, we all went out to a restaurant. They were sitting around. I had no sense to keep my mouth shut. So, stealing into the temple. The better poets at the table told of watching birds, of rhythmic wings as they pursued to the edge of watery world, or pairs of plumed mergansers measured time on tidal currents, while kindness, spear-deep blue hair stabbed silver garden minnows. Their words then ran to streams of rainbow trout, the thrill of barbless angling, catching and releasing in wild and rambling rivers, of wetting lines and icy creeks when trout was not obliged, still casting into swirling pools, for peacefulness they found it. As I sat in their wilderness, neither bird nor fly fisher, conversation took its course as if by force of nature, surveying patterns, moving in conscious streams, clear running. The better poets still lay herons, and I, the silent watcher. Thank you.
All right. Well, what do you think about Winston's poetry?